Yeah, looks good. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. It's really great to see some familiar faces and new faces. So everyone I haven't talked to, please come and say hi afterwards. Um, Thanks for the introduction, Lilith, and Manon, for your presentation. And listening to you too, I thought we needed a ops roundtable about no code because there's so much more that I can talk to about it. But this is not the topic about my presentation today. I would like to show you what I've built in Notion and how I automated that. You can take images, but I share some resources on a Notion page you can duplicate at the end, so no worries. Also, thanks to the NoCode team for inviting me to talk today, so I really appreciate the opportunity. So first thing, what I would like to do is please take out your mobiles and scan the QR code, because I would like to know how you're doing today. You will land on a tally form and your entries will then be fed into a Notion database. And while you do that, I would like to take a selfie with you and everyone who doesn't want to just cover your face, if that's possible. Or just hide yourself behind your neighbor in front of you. So say cheese. I've cut myself off. So okay, so thanks very much. Let's start. So what is on today's menu? I would like to give you first some strategic thoughts that I've put into content production while I've analyzed the issues with the clients and myself, how I've tackled the challenges, I'm going to list them up for you, and how the current solution looks like. I'm emphasizing here current because it's in content constant evolution, because I have new ideas and new insights. So what you see today is the current state, and maybe tomorrow I have already something new in it. So what are the biggest challenges in content production? Is that it's not done enough, not regularly, and not systematically. And then there's a fifth level to that some people just mix up the order. They worry about, oh, I need a system, and they hardly do anything on it. So just get it done, and then you sort of evolve with your experiences. But don't take my words for it. I have a famous person invited to talk about that. Well, he doesn't know about it. So Alex Hermosi recently posted a YouTube video where he sort of reflected on their content production and what worked and what didn't work. And I took 3 quotes out of that. And what I derived from there is that if anything works better than nothing, then just do it, like Nike says. If some things do not work as others, or some things work better than others, in order to figure this out, you have to have a system. If some things change over time, you have to know what, so you also need to have a system to figure out what actually changed so that you can adapt. It's okay. This was the warm-up, so anyone who isn't interested in it anymore, please leave. I don't, no hard feelings. And anyone who's on the internet watching, yeah, just get a coffee. Okay, so who am I? I'm Natasha Buck. I'm Swiss, from a country known for chocolate, cheese, and bangs. But what I like actually most about Switzerland is that you can jump into rivers and lakes and you can drink the water while swimming in it because it's so clean. I live in Zurich. As Lilith already mentioned, I am a Notion certified consultant, and I'm the first German-speaking one and the 30th worldwide. I also call myself a incognito melange because I don't look like. I have a Swiss-Austrian parents. I grew up in Libya, so North Africa, and I have a Russian name, so put me in a box that you find is appropriate. I've built systems since the 2000s. I had a really boring secretary job and noticed that I do a lot of mistakes because it's so boring. And I thought, maybe a tool could do that. I could program something. So I bought a really thick book and taught myself how to program with FileMaker. I'm a try and error person, and for a really long time I didn't consider myself or saw myself as a programmer because I don't know any program languages. But I'm conceptually really strong. So the challenges that I had in the beginning with that handbook is that it was like reading a foreign language, even though it's no code. So how do you make use of an index if you do not know how the thing is called? You end up going through the book over and over and over again until you make sense of it. So this is how I taught it myself. I did this, I developed this system for a craftsman business, and then later changed or had a new position at the Swiss Stock Exchange. And from then on, I just developed more systems, and I had really great superiors who supported me on this. That then led me to private equity, more finance jobs, even administration, and also small SMEs. And one of the last businesses that I had was a cake business. I'm a former cake artist, and I still have an Instagram page if anyone's interested in have a look. But one day I just realized I don't like baking so much. and I spent far too much time polishing this Excel spreadsheet to actually calculate a quote so that I don't spend hours, so just maybe 10 minutes on it. And this was sort of the beginning of realizing what I actually really like. Okay, so moving from cake to my consulting approach, because that one's also layered, like a layered cake, is that, and as Manon said, is that you have to understand the problem, well, layer one, what are we really trying to solve, yeah? Do we want to have something fast and done, quick and dirty, because of the sake of it, or do you really want to address what's happening? And sometimes it's really finding out what is the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about or isn't even aware of. So that's what I sort of really consider in my consulting approach, that I really want to figure out what is the problem. Of course, once we know that, doing and implementing this is really fast, but people really always focus on the top layer, the eighth one. Everyone wants to automate, everyone wants to have the cherry on the cake, but that one comes actually at the end. Okay, moving on. Now I would like to talk about the challenges that I tackled with content production. For clients, or for myself as well, is that sometimes they start out producing content for a particular channel and they want to expand. But they also knew that they had limited capacity and wanted to have a system that really helps them not to spend too much time on it. And for example, in my case, I wanted to start to regularly post on LinkedIn, but I didn't want to spend too much time on it, and I wanted to get it done. And for me, the biggest pain point was uploading the content to those channels. And I just felt like, this last mile is like really stabbing my eyes, yeah? So I thought, okay, why not save myself the pain? Why not automate? So what I do now is that I produce and plan my entire content in Notion and push it out via automation to the respective channels. And then some other goals and challenges, feel free to read them. So moving on, I've made you a mind map, so what goes into the situation of content production. Top left corner, we have sort of what the database model is, but there are many more factors that go into that. We also have to cover processes, like, okay, I know I have to do that, but how can I manage this with my workload? How do we best do that? So for example, in the case that I will show later for LinkedIn, there are some LinkedIn specifics, and why not consider them when you have in your system so that you're supported by it and you don't have to memorize it. And then also while you start doing it, you realize, we could write that down. Okay, we need SOPs. And then also I think what's highly overseen is that maybe you've created a really great piece of content on your blog like 3 years ago, but it's still good. And it's a really lengthy content. So but you've never actually talked about it on other channels. So I've sort of built into my setup a way that I can check if I have already promoted an existing content. So this is a way of content repurposing. And then I also use Notion AI to make it sound more clever or more stupid, make it longer or shorter. Then, as mentioned, automation, and then performance. I will show you how I track my performance, now in particular with LinkedIn. Okay. So the demo. What I actually wanted to do a live demo, but for some technical reason, it's not possible. But if anyone's interested on how it actually looks and feels, come to me and I open my laptop and we do a post together. Okay, so this is how my entry portal looks like. I call it Content Hub. And when you look at it, I have a layout with columns, and I organize it in a way that I have on the left side always sort of metadata, like the navigation pane, and then on the right-hand side, filters that help me to understand what's happening. So, for example, I have a pipeline view. Then I see, okay, this is what's currently cooking, and I should finish doing. And then I also have some buttons that help me create new content. And what's here really cool, and I really appreciate with Notion, is that I understand content production like a fancy project management. Every content that I produce is sort of a project in itself and has several tasks connected to it. So, for example, if I produce for YouTube, I have other activities than when I have something for LinkedIn or for Twitter. So what I do with those buttons is that it creates a project and a set of predefined tasks. So I save myself several clicks. Okay. If I then enter one of the respective channels, I have built dashboards for every channel. I see specifics for this channel. So here with LinkedIn, I have again a general overview of what's happening currently now. That's actually really the view from this morning, by the way. So I haven't done much today, just fine-tune this presentation. And then below I have a calendar view so that I also get to see, do I have a nice distribution of content that is going out. Okay, so now, maybe you've seen it before on the GIF that it was moving through, that is that I have additional views, and those are highly specific for a particular process step. Because sometimes those process steps are not connected or like in sequential order, and they need to be done, but I don't want to have an entire database to query all the time. So I have a really limited insight into my database that shows me what I have to do. So for example, once it's posted, I go and fetch the post link, and then a week later, I go and fetch the performance data. Okay, now I would like to show you how an actual project looks like. When I click on one of those records, for example, that one that is due tomorrow, that is the page layout for now, just specifically now if I create something for LinkedIn. On top we have the properties, and then again in the page content is divided in columns. The left-hand side, again, more strategic level, and then on the right-hand side, the action-driven content. And if we dissect this, so for example, here I have a dedicated subpage where I write the content so that Notion AI is not confused with any other information bits. So I just can run it through the entire page and not worry about it. And then here I can plan my production. Depending on how I've created my project before, I either have here already a set of tasks or I can create new ones. Sorry, it's a mix of English and German. So this button called Aufgaben planen will create, now in this view, a set specific a task set specific for LinkedIn. And then I have as well an option of creating image prompts so that I can use them for LinkedIn as well. And what I like here is that I connect this database of the image prompts with the respective project. So whenever I want to scroll through my entire database of images, I always see how to which project it is related. And then here, as I previously mentioned, the content promotion is that I thought, if I create a new content and it's a project, why not plan it a bit further and already plan ahead and think, where else do I want to promote this? So here I can sort of create sub-projects, either for newsletter, Facebook, or tweet, or whatever I want. So I can do that. And it's self-referencing. So I can go later back into my database and query for content that hasn't been promoted. And that's super cool, I feel. Okay, so if we start to create content, I've prepared here already the content. What I do is that I measure the text length, because in March or April, the LinkedIn algorithm insights report came out, and it showed that the text length really impacts your performance or reach, depending on the format. So for example, text-only content performs different depending on the size, length of text, as compared to posts with text and image or text and carousel. So there is a variation. And I saw those numbers and I just knew that I'm not able to memorize those numbers. Let me build something, a formula that is a light signal. As you can, I don't think the beamer, doesn't work. The top arrow points to the formula field that shows me, am I in the green, orange, or red, as in this example. And now I could take this text and ask AI to add more text or to shorten it. And by the way, if you're interested in this LinkedIn Insights report, I share this on my resource page at the end of the presentation. So yeah, you're safe on that as well. Okay, so as I said, the formula changes depending on different aspects. So that this way I always know, do I have to invest more time or can I move on? Okay, so then once I finish with writing something, I change the status to ready to publish, and then a scheduling link will appear. As you may see here, it's a clickable link, and once you click on it, it fires a webhook and it publishes it, or will start and get into action and publish it to Buffer. I use Buffer for my publishing as a publishing pub. Yeah, I think you get what I want to say. Because 3 reasons why I like Buffer. First of all, if I screwed up, I still have a sort of like a repository that I can go and fix it. If something is not working with one of those social media channels, I have one partner to talk to. And the third one, I just forgot. I'm too nervous. Maybe I just remember it later. So yeah, I found that's really helpful to sort of plan ahead as well. Maybe I can do it on a daily basis and just toss something out, or I can say, okay, next week I'm pretty busy. Let's do everything for this week, or next week, or I'm on vacation, so I just can plan everything ahead. And I save myself or keep myself the flexibility, so because Notion is really known for shipping new features rather quick, and then I can quickly rearrange. Okay, so when all the conditions are met, I can click on this link, and once it's then tossed out, the schedule link will then change it as well. So this is the gist of how the system works. Now I would like to do a summary of all the automations that are in it. So in terms of Notion, I've mentioned the buttons, that I can create buttons that create a set of new records for me. The scheduling link formula that I've mentioned before. So once I have clicked to schedule, it goes back into Notion and changes the status from ready to publish to scheduled. And I then get a different message to go and check the queue in buffer. I call it Warteschlange. And once it's then published out, I get then to click on this same property, but with a different link, and get navigated directly to the respective LinkedIn post. And the reason why that's important and interesting is that later I can go and fetch the performance data. Okay, database automations, that I don't have many yet in terms of content production, is that once I have a post sent out and it's being published, and when I go to LinkedIn and copy the link, and by the way, that's a manual process because I haven't figured out yet an automation to fetch the LinkedIn post. Like my status is like 3 weeks old. It's technically apparently not possible, but I'm still hoping to get rid of that manual step. Then automations with Make. So I use it to send content to the content publisher like Buffer, then change the status from ready to publish to scheduled, and as I previously mentioned as well, create prompts or use prompts to create images and text. So I interchangeably use ChatGPT or DALL-E or even Notion AI to create prompts, so whatever fits. Sometimes the one or the other is better. Okay, the interesting bit. How I measure the performance of my posts. What I do is that I pull all the records that I've created of published posts into a statistics entity so that I know on which days perform well, or which months perform well, and also which posts perform the best. And what I actually like a lot is knowing which post medium or type works really well. And surprisingly, carousels perform really well. Okay, so this is how I then pulled it together once I've recorded the performance data. And what I do is that I collect impressions and reactions, and based on these two metrics, I calculate the engagement rates. And the engagement rate shows me actually the quality of the post, because if it was interesting, I don't mind how many people watch it. If many people saw it and just passed it by, so that actually means that my post was pretty boring. Maybe 100 people saw it, but 100 people were like, oh, yeah. So I rather have a few people seeing, and a high percentage of those people actually interact with, comment or like. So that's why I calculate the engagement rate. Now I would like to show you the icing on the cake, is that I have a metrics board, and I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I have a separate metrics view with charts that I measure how my website is performing, my email letter or my email list, LinkedIn of course, and YouTube. And at the very bottom you see again, I've embedded the same LinkedIn stats as well. So this is how I then sort of come full circle on understanding how everything is doing. All right. So you have given me feedbacks on how you're doing. So can I click on here and you can try and open? Yeah, no, doesn't look like. Yeah, demo effect. So actually, what I wanted to do show you is a summary of how everyone is doing here in the room. It worked when I tried it earlier. How can I go back? Is it just the back button? Ah, yeah. Okay. If someone's interested in the results, come by after, and I'll show you that on my computer. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. If anyone is interested in connecting with me, please feel free. Scan the QR code. You have options to connect with me. You can give me feedback on today's presentation, and you have access to the resources as well. Yeah, feel inspired by the additional tally page. Okay, I'm open for questions. Thank you very much.